What's going on, everybody? My name is Aaron Hemingway and welcome to the world of Hemingway Special Ed. In today's video, I want to share with you 7 tips for helping to change, manage, and shape student behavior. But before I do that, I'm going to share a story with you guys about something that happened to me my very first year of teaching that I wish that I knew now. And my hope is by sharing this story, you guys will not have to go through the same thing that I went through the learning curve and trial and error and everything. So with that, let me go ahead and get started. So I've been teaching for 8 years, and this is my very first year of teaching. And I walk into the school confident and like, I've got this and all I need are minds to mold. I'm a teacher, let's do this. And that whole dream and that whole vision of just this perfect classroom that I'm walking into was quickly disrupted by this one student that displayed some major challenging behavior. We were taking the kids to lunch, and the student walks into the cafeteria, and then he gets his lunch, and then he goes up onto the stage that they have in the cafeteria and begins to roll around like an alligator. And I go over there and, I'm like, come on, let's go, so-and-so. I'm not going to say his name on here. And, I tell him and try to get him up and try to get him to, move and come back over to the table. And I'm starting to panic because I'm thinking, like, I want to look like a good teacher. I want to look like I know what I'm doing. And the fact of the matter is that I had no idea. Fortunately, I had some awesome support teachers around me that helped me to de-escalate the student's behavior, get him to sit down and to eat. Following that incident, there were other days where he went into a full crisis mode and he would get rocks and throw them at me. And I remember this one time he actually missed my head and he ended up hitting the glass on the classroom. We were outside when this happened, and I still to this day cannot believe that the glass from the classroom window did not break. It was crazy. This student has also thrown desks at me. He threw a fire extinguisher. He threw a computer monitor. And each time I asked myself, what am I doing wrong? And the fact of the matter is, it wasn't necessarily that I was doing anything wrong, but it's that I wasn't doing things that were evidence-based practices to help this student with his behavior. And then sadly, what ended up happening is because I couldn't control this student, he ended up getting moved to another school for students with significant behavior problems. And to me, it still bothers me to this day because I wasn't able to help him. I wasn't able to keep him at this less restrictive school because I was his teacher. And he was my responsibility, and I just couldn't help him. I didn't have the tools, I didn't have the training. And so I want to share with you guys what I know now. If 21-year-old me had known that, all of what I know now at this time, I'm sure that I could have helped that student keep in the school that I was at the time, and also be able to help him just be more successful and focus less on, changing his behavior and focus more on academics and just having him learn and learn and learn. I'm going to share 7 tips with you guys on how you can change, shape, and manage student behavior. Tip number 1 that I have is take ABC data. Data is as easy as A, B, C. And what that means is the A stands for antecedent, the B stands for behavior, and the C stands for consequence. And so the antecedent is what was the student doing before they began engaging in the behavior. And obviously the B, what was the behavior that they demonstrated, and then C, what was the consequence? Now, the consequence of this isn't necessarily, like how were they punished or how were they disciplined or anything like that. It's more of what did they get out of their behavior. So let me give you an example. Let's say that Johnny did not want to do his schoolwork. And so the antecedent of that would be Johnny didn't want to do his schoolwork. The behavior was that Johnny ran out of the classroom. And the consequence is Johnny didn't have to do his schoolwork. So it's really simple. You don't have to overthink it or make it super complicated. Let's do another one. Jane was sitting at the table and she got out of her chair and laid on the ground. So I guess that would be the behavior. The antecedent would be she was sitting at the table. So the antecedent is she was sitting at the table. The behavior is she fell to the ground. The consequence is she didn't have to do any work. From taking ABC data, we want to be able to identify the function of the behavior. And so, simplistically speaking, there are two functions: to either gain something or to get out of something. In the two scenarios I just told you, the students were trying to get out of something. They didn't want to do the work. So the first student ran out the door, the second student laid on the ground. Another example to use the function of gaining attention was Joe was sitting at the table. Joe began to scream and yell. All the students began telling Joe to stop, and the adult asked him to stop as well. And so what was Joe getting? Joe was getting attention from his peers and from the other staff. So the function of that behavior was to get attention. And so what we want to do is take consistent ABC data every single day for about a week. And then we can look through that data and we can come up with a hypothesis for the function of the behavior. So I actually got a little bit ahead of myself. Step 1 was take ABC data. Step 2 was to figure out the function of the behavior. Step 3 is that we need to meet the student's need appropriately. So if the student wants to get out of getting work or get out of having to do work, then we need to find a way that they can get out of doing work in an appropriate way. The way that we find out how we can meet the student's need appropriately is by going to step 4 and finding out what the student likes. Maybe the student likes snacks. Maybe the student likes to play with a certain toy or do a certain puzzle. In this day and age, a lot of my students, they like to play on the iPad or, watch a video, something of that nature. Step number 5 is in order to help the student meet that need and get what they want in an appropriate way, we have to maybe change the routine for them. We have to put in accommodations. We cannot expect Johnny to complete a math page that has 20 problems on it. Maybe we just expect him to do 5 problems and then he can earn a check mark, and then do another 5 problems and then earn another check mark, and then do another 5 problems and then earn another check mark. And after he earns 3 check marks, then he can earn whatever reward it is that he wants, whether it be a snack or an iPad or watching a short video or anything of that nature. Step number 6. So at this point, we have a plan. We're trying out different things. We just have to go for it at this point. So step 6 is just implement it and go for it and take data. Take a lot of data on your student. You don't necessarily need to take ABC data, but you can record how many times the student engages in the behavior each day that you're trying to help change, modify, and shape. And that's another thing too, is when you are trying to help a student with their behavior, you want to focus on one behavior. Maybe the student displays a bunch of different behaviors, but you just got to pick one and go after that one. You have to do it one at a time. Otherwise, you're going to get frustrated, the student's going to get frustrated, and you all are just going to want to give up in that situation. So pick one behavior at a time. Did they earn their 3 check marks? That is your data right there. So how many check marks did they earn today? How many times did they earn their reward today because they got their 3 check marks? Those are all ways that you can measure the progress. If you see the student is earning and earning and earning, then maybe you're going to want to up it to 5 check marks and then see how that goes. So you're just going to keep wanting to changing and modifying, just seeing how the plan that you have going forward works for the student. Finally, step 7 is give it a couple weeks. So maybe your plan doesn't work for the first 3 or 4 days. Don't give up. Don't assume that it doesn't work, because these things, they take time. You know, it's said that it takes 21 days in order to change a routine or to get a routine going consistently. Have this going for a couple weeks. Keep taking data, keep following your plan, and with that, you will be able to see whether or not the student is making progress, whether or not they're earning it and changing and making the learning environment more suitable for them and also as well for the other students. If you find that the behavior plan that you've implemented is not working, then go back and change something. Maybe they don't want to work for a goldfish. Maybe all they do want is iPad. Then each time they can earn iPad. So, to recap, what we want to do is step 1, take ABC data. Step 2, identify the function of the behavior. Step 3, we need to meet their need appropriately. Step 4, find out what the student likes. Step 5, try implementing necessary accommodations and changes for the student. So don't overload them with work, because we want to make sure that the student actually gets to earn their reward and experience what it feels like to meet their need in an appropriate way. Step 6, go for it. Try it out. Take data. See how it works, which leads to step 7. Is the plan working? If not, make the necessary changes. Is it working? Awesome. Keep going with it consistently. And again, maybe you want to up it a little bit to where the student has to earn more before he can earn his or her reward or privilege. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video, and I hope that you found it helpful in helping to change, modify, and shape your students' behavior. In advance, your students will thank you. They just don't know it yet. So, here's my question for you. Do you guys have a student or students with challenging behavior? What do those behaviors look like? Leave them in the comments down below, and also tell me what kind of interventions you're running for your students. Let me know if I can help you guys in any way possible. Leave it in the comments down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!